Okay guys, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to sit back with a cup of coffee, because we all know Scruffy likes a coffee, and I'm going to let someone else do the heavy lifting for me. Intrigued? Roll the intro, and we'll find out.
Matron, take them away.
And a warm welcome to one and all. So, if you're still here, you'll be wondering what I'm up to. Well, the title might give it away a little bit, to be honest. We're going to build a robot. And we're going to build a robot with zero knowledge. And what do I mean by that? Well, do I know anything about coding? Nothing. Do I know anything about computers? Limited. Do I know how to work a chart? Very much so. Do it every day. It's my living. You see me do it all the time. But let's just imagine a world that I didn't know anything. I've just seen a couple of the glossy videos. You know the ones that make you sick. You know, oh, I've made a gazillion with just a couple of £100, or follow my system and I'll make you a gazillionaire because this is Brad and he's just made 900 following my system. Bullshit. Brad can be bought for £25 on Fiverr. If you're going to use an actor, make certain one that isn't public. Tit. Anyway, as we go through this, what we're going to do is, I'm going to ask Chat, GTP, or whatever the fuck it's called, to make me a trading system. And I'm going to have a conversation with it.
Are you serious?
And I'm going to see if it can actually pull out something that is feasible. Now, this is probably, well, it's not probably, it's going to be in a multitude of parts. So what we'll do tonight, because otherwise we'll be at it for hours, is we're going to have the conversation with it tonight. And we're going to see what it comes up with. Then we'll ask it to do a program, see if it can actually code this thing. And then I think the third part is we'll let it loose on an account. Now, initially it will be a paper trading account because there is not a hope in hell I'm going to let something loose with real money that I don't understand. Nothing. Okay? But we'll see if it works. And if it does work, who knows? We might let it loose on an account.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Just to see. Because one of the things, I'll tell you where this came from. I've had a little bit of time off. Those who follow me regularly have noticed I haven't been around much. But I am in the squad every day. I make videos for the guys every day. I do the breakdowns for the guys every day. And I still trade every day. Okay? But I just took a little bit of a break. But a lot of people were contacting me still because obviously I've got over 3,000 videos on the channel. And people message me all the time. And they said, what do you think about bots? Well, I like a good ass.
You dirty old man.
Oh, sorry. We're talking about robots, aren't we? Give us a second. I'm having a moment.
Well, hello. Ding dong.
Because I'm probably going to make an arse of this. But let's be honest. I'm old. Don't know a lot about computers. Know how to press the buttons. Know what to sort of look at on the screen, which is normally YouTube and a bit of a sing-song to the Wurzels. But can I code? No. Is it a skill? It's a definite skill. And it's a skill that I don't possess. But could Chat do it? That's the premise. Let's find out. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a little conversation with this thing and just see if it can pick things up. Now, just out of transparency, I did try this over the weekend with MT5 and it couldn't code it. Because as you go down through these glossy videos, and hey, I made this trading bot in 7 minutes with ChatGTP and it did this. Bollocks. I started it on Wednesday and I got it till Sunday before I got the thing to try and basically work. It threw up error after error. It didn't code it right. But then I figured out that this thing only runs up to 2022. What if it's behind the updates? And MT4 hasn't really changed since the introduction of MT5. So I changed my tact with it and asked it to talk about MT4. And then suddenly it kind of sparked into life. So that's the route I'm going to be taking, okay? So don't be sucked in by all these glossy videos telling you you're going to be rich, because ultimately it takes money to make money. Remember that. And trading, it definitely needs commitment and patience. And that's where this robot might help us. So with that said, let's get a little bit of a slurp of coffee. Because we all know Scruffy likes a coffee. And he likes Winky, who's downstairs making a noise. And let's have a look. So we're going to be nice to this thing, because it might take over the world one day and I don't want it to hunt me down like the Terminator. So, hello GT. We call it GT. Well, it already knows what I'm after. Obviously remembering the conversations I've had with it. Okay. Glad you know I like to day trade. Let's keep to the facts. I know very little about the markets. Can you help? Okay. So one of the reasons why I'm doing this is because it'll look up through conversations. It will be looking through the archives that I've done as well. It'll start building up a database of what it's looking for. And that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to get it to sort of give everything as if it's talking to somebody that's 5 years old. Okay. I have heard that big money can be made with only a small investment. Yes, that's true. Secret problem is relative sort of time, but it's now talking about leverages and things like that. So it's starting to understand what leverages are involved in everything. And as I say, you could lose half your account, one thing more. Let's say I have 5,000 to trade with. What would be best? Whoops, sorry. Okay. So what it's doing here is I'm trying to get it to build pictures in its mind, assuming that it has a mind, that it's not counting sheep, that it's working these things out. My currency is GBP, Great British Pound. All right. So we'll get it to start talking in my language. All right. I hear day trading is good. Okay. Right, now it's starting to get to understand, because it's now asking me if I want information on specific day trading and risk management techniques. This is kind of the rabbit hole I wanted to get it to. That would be great. What is the best product to trade? Okay, so it's giving me a list, a basket now of major currencies, etc. to trade and understand. And it's also constantly reinforcing about risk management. And now it's starting to understand basic strategies. Okay. Now I'm going to ask it where it gets its information from. Where do you get this info from? And how do you understand what works? Now I want it to think about what it's doing, and it'll go searching through everything. Okay, it's now telling me where to find good courses, good books, etc., which is very good. Okay. Is candlestick patterns important? So it's now trying to work out what the main candlesticks are. So again, it's building up information all the time. Now, I'm being a bit coy with the questions that I'm asking because I wanted to delve in and start building a picture. So I want to do this next because we're going to ask it for a strategy out the gate before we ask it to code it. But I wanted to think about what it's trying to achieve. Now, I live in the UK. So what are the best times for me to trade? Okay. There we go. It's now starting to work out good times to trade. And as it's saying, and if anybody ever watches me, you'll know that between 8 and 12 is a good time. And again, between 1 and 4, the London-New York overlap, as it's rightly pointing out, is incredibly good. Then the markets do kind of die down a little bit. So happy days. This is starting to work. Okay. Now, from here, if I wanted to gain £100 per day trading for only 3 hours, which pair and time would be best? Right, now this is interesting. So it's now giving you a trading plan and it's working everything out for you. Now this is quite good because what it's told you essentially is pretty much narrowing in what I've seen over my years in the markets. Actually, I prefer to trade between 7 a.m. and 9 and kind of miss out the open at 8 o'clock. But it's kind of picking up pretty darn close to where I like to trade. And the GB pairs, we all know I like cable. Cable is a very good pair to trade. And then here we go. It's working everything out for you. Okay, interesting. Could you make a simple day trade strategy that I could follow to get the above target. Right. Let's have a look and see what it's pulled up to see what's going on. Okay, let's see what it says. Pre-market analysis. Look to identify key support and resistance. Okay, understand that. Look for potential exit points based on the previous daily's high, low, and close. So what this is talking about, it's actually talking about daddy levels. Now, key support and resistance come from high time frames, and it'd be curious as to see which ones it's going to be interested in looking for. So we're going to dig into that. And your entry exit points. If you're thinking about daddy levels, they are actually, it's the high, the low, the open, the close, the midpoint, and 2 expansions. The main ones are the high, low, open, close, and midpoint. Okay, so it's picked them out. So that's pretty darn good. Now, what it's trying to say is you will buy at the market price as soon as the London session opens at 8 o'clock. Now, okay, I don't think that's a particularly good thing to do. So I'm going to delve into this a little bit further. What are the key support and resistance? Okay. So that's talking about pivot points. What time frames should these be taken from? There we go. So it's starting to say you're looking at a daily and a 4 hour. Personally, I like the daily 4 hour as well. Also take into consideration a weekly, things like that. Now it's having a look at, when it's talking about S1, S2 and all of this, these are pivots by looking at it. So, okay. All right. What about trend? I hear it's your friend. So again, it's building up a picture all the time. Okay. How can I tell quickly the direction? Yep. There we go. It's now starting to talk about indicators and how they can help. Okay, so if I am to trade for 3 hours, give me a solid strategy that is rules based to get £100. Okay. Here we go. Let's see what this has to say for itself. See, it's quite vague when it's going through this. So let's have a little look here. Trading plan. Analysis up to 8 o'clock. Right, okay. 1 hour chart, uptrend, price is above, the 50 is above the 200. Yes, I can go with that. There's a trend line collecting the lowest high and a MACD line. Okay, we'll go with that. Confirm the direction and look for potential entry. Okay, key. Buy at the market price if the trend is upwards. Okay. Okay. Can you add a better trigger to enter market? Okay. Now it's asking me if I would like to clarify it further. Yes. Put into steps and what indicators will do what. Right. Okay. So let's have a look, see what it's come out with. So obviously, our charts identify resistance levels, blah, blah, blah. Entry trigger, here we go. So you buy above resistance 1 with a 15-minute candle close above the level and below. Indicators used. Candlesticks pattern to confirm the breakout breakdown volume. Okay. Without candle patterns and just using indicators, can it be done? All right. So now it's changing. I wanted to sort of dig into this a little bit further to see what's going on. I'm actually surprised it's not looking for any oversold, overbought conditions, because I would imagine they would have played part quite a lot. Yes. Right, now I'm going to turn this on its head. Yes. What about sideways markets? Do they trade different? Okay. What about strength in the market? How can we tell? All right. So it's come down and it's now starting to work things out a little bit better. Now these are basic stuffs. ATR, the average true range, can give a trading arena, but now it's starting to build up a simple strategy, adding in extra confluences. Now, what would the RSI do to the trading plan? Right, okay. Right. And let's have a look. Has this strategy ever been used? Okay. Right, okay, so we're getting there. Okay. So looking at all of the above, could you make a high chance of winning strategy that a total beginner could get to work? All right. Let's have a look at this. So you enter a buy if the price approaches a support level and shows signs of reversal with a 50 period SMA sloping upwards, and the market strength indicators history confirm bullish. Right. What about if we try to get an indicator that can act as a trigger? Can an indicator help as a trigger and a filter? Okay, so I'm going to dig into it a little bit further. And then we'll get it to do a final strategy point. And then we'll ask whether or not this thing can be coded. Okay. All right. So with all of that, is it possible to make a robot to trade this for me on MT4? Oh, it's actually doing it right now. Right, okay. All right. Well, I understand how to do that, but double price close resistance. Right. Now this opens up another rabbit hole. How do you know the levels as above was examples? So, update trading plan with realistic support. Using Fibonacci to identify pattern. Well, it's pulling out a fib now. Okay. So we can calculate pivot points to identify support and resistance. Good. And we can also use Fibonacci. Okay. Right. So don't code just yet. I will say when. Tell me how the fib would be made. Right, don't code. And a robot could find these levels. Right, okay, don't want that. If that is the case, could a strategy be made that reads the market trend, places a fib, then enters at 23.6 and exit at 50% of trade at 38.2 and fully close at 50%. We'll give it a little bit of room for spread, 48%. Right, so determine the market trend using the market averages, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Identify recent swings high and low. Okay. What chart would this be best suited if left all day? The 1 hour. Okay. Please give a summary of a super strategy to trade only London hours using the best of what we have spoke about. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Don't code yet. Just give me a summary and possible outcome. Super. Okay. Hypothetical will be back tested demo. So what it's kind of done, if we think about that, now we'll look at the coding in the next video, which will be in a day or so, is I really wanted it to start figuring out how a market works in and around certain times. Now, it identified pretty much the good times that I trade with anyway, which are the early London session, etc. It then went down the rabbit hole of trying to find support and resistance. And I've always told you guys, levels are king. They genuinely are. Okay. And if you noticed, it didn't pay a great deal of weight, triggers-wise, to indicators. So again, when you watch me trade, I like indicators and I like to get a feel of what's going on with them. But my entry points are based on two entries. I look at levels, whether they're Fibonacci or standard. And I also do a count back where I'm looking for a fractal or a breakout point, which is essentially a mini level anyway. Rather than sort of using direct triggers on, say, a crossover stochastic or something like that. I do have triggers in my sort of arsenal tool bag, and it's normally an RSI trigger what I use because I like an RSI. But what I found interesting with this is, as I was asking it questions, and they were quite generic, it came down to a strategy that I would recognize straight away. Now, there could be some ghosts in the machine because obviously I trade with Fibonacci quite a lot. I trade with levels quite a lot, and I will have been putting it into this at some time or another. So it may well actually be looking through the archives and picking out things that I like. I don't know. Which is why when we go to code this thing, we'll be able to see whether or not it's profitable or not. The jury is kind of out. I did a code at the weekend and he said, give me a basic code, that'll win. That was all I told it to do. And it did. And it worked for a day, and the second day was dog shit. What we need is something that can be tried and tested and actually last for quite a long time. And whatever we look at, support and resistance will always be that. So far, we're looking at find a trend using MACD, moving average, and support and resistance pivots based on daddy levels, which I was quite surprised that I pulled that out. Then it's looking at fibs to give extra confluence with levels and actually trigger points. In fairness, I did tell it they are the trigger points. But it kind of came to that conclusion itself anyway by using levels, saying push into a level and then a close above it, which is nothing more than a bounce. Now, what I might actually do when we come into the coding is give it certain rules that it can only take a minimum trade of 10 pips. So if it's like a tiny high and low and it draws a fib on, it won't take it unless it's worth taking, if that makes sense. Anyway, just something for you to think about, but open up ChatGPT or ChatGPT. I call mine GT. It likes being called GT. It's my little friend when I'm on my own. And just ask it. And you'll be surprised. It could actually probably build you a half-decent strategy, which would save you plowing round all the forums, looking for the magic system, looking for the magic pill. It doesn't exist. Well, it does. And in the next one, I'm going to tell you where that magic pill is. So as always, guys, trade well, keep your risk managed, but above all, do what you love, and the money will follow. See you all in the next one.